Happy Monday to you. This is John McEntyre Money Show Live. I'm John McEntyre, and today it is June the 2nd. I got it right on the first try. Today is June the 2nd. Time is flying by, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully everyone, we're almost what's the last month of the second quarter. Hope you all meeting your goals because that's what we are about here. Our aim here with you is your financial health and wellness, and you can build wealth, but you have to aim for it. And that's what we're all about, is helping you aim for that wealth that you want to build in life. And so hopefully you had a great weekend. I know we did. The weather actually cooperated. Didn't matter anyway. I stayed inside. It was all up and down here. Like I say, it was almost like fall, like going into fall. It was like rain, off and on rain the entire time, all of this good stuff. So that just gave me another excuse to sit in and eat desserts and pizza and all of that good stuff. But I did good yesterday. We did good. I went to church, so I didn't use it as a total excuse. All right, let's get on serious note. We have a good show today. This is June 2nd, so you know what time it is. What I always do at the first of each month, what I should be doing at the end, but it didn't fall correctly for my weekly. We're going to talk about what should be included in your June budgeting, because that's what first thing people should do before the month actually starts, is their budgeting and get ready, because each month has its own categories. They have the broad categories, but then there's specific items for each month that you wouldn't see in other parts of the year. And so today we want to cover June. And then I'm covering the question someone had asked: how much cash should I keep on hand? And I'll go deeper into that when I get to that part. But first, let's cover this June budgeting. We're going to just hit it quick. We want to do the regular categories. This time of the year, school graduations, they happen, with the high school, middle school, elementary school, all the way down to preschool. They're all doing their graduations now. It used to be a time when you heard graduation, you just thought of high school. Now everyone's graduating, even the little ones. I guess maybe in probably about 30 or 40 years, they'll be ready for the workforce coming out of preschool. Who knows? As smart as these kids are now, I mean, they probably are ready. They're studying things in elementary and preschool that I didn't really see to almost late elementary, middle school. So, hey, but you're going to have to spend money on them. They're expecting it. They know what the game is. They know the game now. So they was like, hey, I graduated preschool. What did you get me? So that means it's time to spend money. But on a higher note, the high schools and college graduates, they're ready to go in the workforce. And with them, the college graduates, they need all the help that they can get to get started. So hopefully some are getting smarter. They're smarter, like, hey, I'm going to do this, so I just need help financially with this, instead of just the normal things. I want to go party. They're coming off campuses, they're becoming, each and every day, they're becoming more and more financially literate, and they're making more sound decisions, of understanding that the earlier they start, the better off they will be. And so they're taking advantage of that. And so those graduation gifts, shirts, clothes, and all of that, that's good stuff. Cash always wins. So school graduations. Second one, with graduation, that means the beginning of summer. So for the next couple of months, you're going to have some extremely hungry folks in the house more often than not. It was a time, up until school, up until summer, you that they were going to be gone at least 6 to 8 hours of the day. Well, now you need to stock up the cupboards, the refrigerator, the pantry, everything with 8 hours of food, 8 extra hours of food, because they're like they I don't want to call them cows. They grades. they're constantly, snacking, doing this, doing that, cooking, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what is this I'm smelling? I'm thinking that the house is on fire. Maybe left the oven on. Oh no, someone's cooking, and I'm just not used to those smells that time of the day, and we got to get used to it. It's just a given thing. They're growing and they're hungry all the time. And so we have to include that into the grocery budget. Grocery budget almost double. I hear parents talk about it all the time. My grocery budget almost doubles during the summer, and some like double. I wish it was just double. I mean, let's try tripling and things like that. And then some of them have the big, the large families. Talking to parents, 5, 6 kids, and I'm like, yeah, I would have to like government assistance, help, please help here. So with the groceries, also summertime, increased utilities, that use of that, the air, and it's the increased utilities come with the increased appetites in the house. And so more warm bodies are in there, so you need to keep it cooler. And this one is hot, this one is cold, or I'm hot and then in 10 minutes I'm cold. And so they're constantly, up and down with the air going on and off and things like that. So and that costs water usage, all of this good stuff. Increased utilities, seasonal clothing. That's for all of us. It gets hot, except for that middle school, high school group. I'm finding it weird that it's like 90 degrees outside. Why are you wearing a hoodie? But then when it's 20 below zero out there, you're walking into school with shorts on. You're wearing shorts. So I would say the seasonal clothing, it all depends who you're dealing with. Me, short sleeves, thinner shirts, things like that. So it makes sense. But with them, I mean, it's like whatever they feel like wearing. So you just have to gauge that one as you move forward. Like I said, 90 degrees, you're wearing a black hoodie with the hood on, and I'm puzzled. 20 below zero, you're wearing shorts, and some are having the nerve to wear flip-flops, and I'm like, okay, we'll work with it. So seasonal clothing, one you have to make sure you're reminded of. Increased gas usage. It's made, travel increases this time of the year, but also with the little ones. If they're not, I mean, it doesn't matter even if they are driving, if they're moving, the gas and the gas usage goes up. If you have the little ones, your Uber duties goes up. More mileage goes on the car. If they're driving, we're lucky in the part that Bella, she gasses up her car. She gasses the car and all of this good stuff, but she had to be taught that. Her mom had to like sit her down and say, it's more than having a car than just driving it. You have to, there's responsibilities with it. And so one of the things, if you're going to be doing all of this driving and traveling, you need to fuel the car. You should fuel it. And so increased gas usage across the board. The other ones, your summer events, the summer camps. And some of these camps, they're not cheap at all. Some of them, and I mean, they're nice camps. They're actually worth the money. Don't get me wrong, they're worth the money. It's just that you definitely have to be prepared and budgeting for them. Because some of them, they had to increase some of the costs, everything. So you have to be prepared for that. And it's the these people, they do an excellent job of protecting our kids, teaching them new skills and everything about life, and going to the camps, and a lot of the kids, they look forward to it. And so it's I call that one of the better investments. It is a great investment. So you should budget for it. You're going to take the vacations. This time of the year, the vacations goes up. And One thing I've noticed with I've seen a couple of articles where staycations actually increased. More and more people was like, you know, I've been there one. I've been to the same spot 1,000 times. They won't miss me if we don't show up this time. Let's do a staycation, enjoy, where we live, our city or our town or whatever, and support local, and do those types of things. Or they're taking shorter vacations. Maybe they're not traveling as far. A lot of people I'm hearing, I really don't want to be on a plane right now, and it's just such a hassle, and the increase of the flights, and now you're paying for baggage and all of this. Some of those things used to be free, now you're having to pay for all of that. And sometimes it just comes to the point, it's just not worth it. I'm just not getting the value I used to get, and so they're just choosing not to do it. So those are the big summer events. The weddings goes up, and those summer weddings are extremely expensive because they want the outside venue that you know goes into an inside venue. So now we're paying for two things, where when you go in fall, spring, where maybe the weather's not as hot, things like that, you mostly just inside. Now the summer weddings, those are, they're more than weddings. Those are big events. Those are some serious events, and the cost has increased from last year. It's so a little bit over 21,000. The average wedding is over 21,000 now, and so yeah, it's a good idea to plan for that. And that's for the wedding. And now they're, hey, we're registered here, we're registered there, and some of them are practicing the art of passive aggressive. I mean, everything's appreciated, but if you're not going to bring crystal, then I don't want to. But I'm just kidding. But gifts are expensive, and you want to do a good gift. You want to send a good gift, because that is a very important day. Two people are joining, becoming one, and so you want to celebrate that day and make it as memorable as possible. So yeah, that's a big expense to actually plan for. The last one that I put on there, and I say because this is the biggest one of all summer, is Father's Day. Put dad in set aside a nice chunk for dad. Dad, he's simple, but I mean, it doesn't mean he's cheap. He's easy to, it's easy to take care of dad. But that doesn't mean, you just, it's like an afterthought. Put us at the top of the category. Um, at least plan for it. Maybe it's a nice meal. Maybe it's something that he's talked about, and someone's finally listened and heard his hints, or maybe someone's just paying attention to something that he's using that's worn out, and they say, hey, we're going to get dad that new whatever he enjoys. We want to make sure and pay attention to that type of stuff. So those are the things we want to budget for. Just make sure and put them in your budget, because those are very unique to this time of the year, and specifically this time. Oh yeah, one other, this is, you're going out of the second quarter. It's almost the end of the second quarter, far as tax wise. So you have to get ready to write that tax bill. If you are a business, it could be time. If you have run a business, it may be, it could be time to write that quarterly check. So remember to have that in the budget also. So those are the things, we want to budget for, and, make sure everything is taken care of. All right. So we've handled the budget. Now let's get into this next one. The question, basically, it stemmed, I shortened the question. It was, how much cash should I keep on hand? And the question came from someone that was creating a budget. They was creating a budget, a much better budget, let's put it that way. But they were also getting, sort of nervous about the market, with so many things being unpredictable right now. The words tariffs, inflation, all of this stuff is, floating around, and people are nervous. And it used to be it used to be a time, my grandfather in their day, basically the pre-boomers, the parents of the boomers, is really the boomers, baby boomers. They were born into the depression, but they were, they were young, they were babies. Their parents were the ones that were taking during the recession. They took all of that money out, put it in a mattress. That's a little extreme today. Um, you want to make a happy medium. Putting your money in all of your money in the mattress, cash wise, is the equivalent of, that's one end of the spectrum. The other end is where a person has all of their money invested in one stock. It's like the same thing. Both are not good. Over here, the stock, if you have all your money in this stock tanks, you lost all your money. Over here is setting, and inflation is just eating it up. It's losing value by the day. And so you want to make a happy medium. And so we've seen this in the budget. I've talked about it, but most people just don't separate it as, well, how much am I invest? How much money should I have invested? How much should I have in cash? Okay, well, I just want to clarify it. There's really only two places you're going to have cash, and that's your savings account and your checking account. And the savings account, it's used for emergency funds. That's really what that's all savings is really for. The personal high yield savings account is specifically for emergency purposes. That's where it is. That's where the emergency fund is held. And you just take you take the cost of your monthly living, and you're doing good to, the first step is, if you don't have a savings account, if you don't have an emergency fund, you want that $1,000. Get that built up as quickly as possible. 1,000. After that, you just want to multiply your living expenses by 3 to 12. And why I say 3 to 12, most of the time, a lot of professionals, experts, everyone, they say, 3 to 6 months living expenses, and you're doing well. And that's doing great. If you have 3 months, great. But that depends. It all depends on, who depends on your income, who depends on your income. And for really how there's another one is how stable is your industry that you work in, your job and everything. The first one, for instance, if you are a single nurse, 3 months, I mean, you want to build up to 6 months, at least 6 months. But if you have 3 months and you're a single nurse, you're good, because you're in healthcare. And healthcare is like in hyper growth. For instance, where we live here, western part of the Charlotte metro, I mean, the new hospital is open, and they're hiring doctors and nurses. I mean, a lot of the people that are in nursing and everything, as soon as they're graduating with jobs. They're leaving with jobs, and they're attracting good doctors here. Good thing we have an excellent healthcare system, a couple of excellent healthcare systems here in the Charlotte metro area, well, more than two. And it's not hard to attract good doctors. But it's healthcare. The Carolina, the Southeast region, pretty much as a whole, is like huge for healthcare, because a lot of people are retiring to this area. It used to be they would leave New York, go to Florida. Now a lot of people are finding that happy medium here in the Carolinas, and our healthcare systems are booming here. But that's on like the upper end. But even on the lower end, it's great. It's still doing great, because just all over America, period, healthcare is just that important, and the population is growing. And so if you're in healthcare, you're in a stable industry, IT, those types of things, technology, you're in those. So if you're single in one of those industries, and you say, well, right now all I have is three months of living expenses, you're good. If something happened and you lost a job, I mean, you can be like half ambitious and get another job in those industries. They're looking, especially if you have experience. Unexperienced, A person in healthcare, pretty much write their own ticket if they really wanted to, and it's just so many categories in healthcare. So if you're in that area, 3 months. Now, let's just say you were in oil, for instance. You was in oil. Um, you want to go 6 to 12 months, because those industries, when they go negative, they really go. And if you lose a job, it's so it's so dependent upon timing, because if everything is great, the economy's pumping, everything's in demand, fuel's in demand, oil's in demand, all of this, great. You may, lose, something may happen, you lose a job and go get another. But let's just say recession, economy's not doing so well, oil's at a standstill, or there's other countries that, hey, are providing it cheaper, things like that. So oil is starting to stockpile. They don't need as many workers out on the rigs, things like that in the industry. It could take a minute. It could take a minute. So if something happens, you lose your job, you may need to depend on your emergency fund much longer. And so that's to take into account. And if you have kids, also, if you have, if you're married with kids and everything, then it really it becomes that much more important. Just something to think about, just to have in that savings account. And remember, those are the things that really dictate how much you should have in your savings, in your emergency fund, because that's all this savings is for. I'm going to stress that: emergency fund. All right, the second category is your checking account. And the checking account, I put it like this: on this most basic level, if you have 1 month of expenses in your checking account, you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You're good. You can stop worrying about overdraft fees and things like that happening and all of this, and wondering how you're going to pay for these upcoming bills, all of that good stuff. That's where your checking account is just to hold each month. And that's the goal, to have each month covered of your monthly expenses, all your monthly expenses. So this works in tandem with your budget. Like I say, so this is June. I just covered the June budget. Maybe June needs more money than May. So you may have to put more money in your checking account for June than you had in May. And there's two categories for the checking account. That's one, the living expenses, 1 month, and sinking fund. You're saving for those expensive. I've covered those before. Say, for instance, you need to repair, upcoming car repairs, or you need to replace the roof of your house, or heating and air, some major repair. Maybe there's an upgrade that can add up to be a lot of a nice chunk of change in that account. But remember, it is in a category. It's not there for you to indiscriminately spend. It's there because it's sinking fund. Some people can handle that. Some other times is, talking to someone, and they come to the conclusion, if I know that money's there and I've covered my expenses, I see this sale, or I see this, I'm going to do it. I'm just not there yet. Okay, then your sinking fund may need to be in a different account. It should be in like its own account. High yield savings, what's the fund? CD, something like that. Is something that is at least growing for you. That's where, if that's a personal preference. But if you are disciplined and you can handle it, seeing all that money in the account, no big deal. That's my sinking fund, and that's my monthly expenses. I'm not going to spend it. Hey, good, more power to you. But if not, maybe time to set up that separate account. So that's why you want. That's the only place to keep cash Because some people say, well, what about investment? Well, the rest of your money, that's where it should be, in your investments. Your 401k, your IRA, whatever investment accounts you have set up, the actual, your college planning, things like that. If that's pertinent to you, then that's where it should be. So it's not exactly just cash sitting. That money is working, and it's not as quickly as accessible. you know the cash that I'm talking about, cash on hand, is like liquid. You can access it right now. If you needed it right now, you can get it right now. You can go to an ATM, you can swipe the card, you can do whatever, your debit card or whatnot, or you can write a check. Whatever you do, go online and spend. It's accessible immediately. That's what I mean. That's the only money that should be in that category of being immediately accessible. That's it. The rest of the money should be working. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. Thank you for tuning in. If you need any assistance with those areas, maybe you need help with that budgeting, maybe you need help with looking at your overall financial picture, give us a call here. Well, our information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. Visit the website, contact us, or give us a call at the toll-free number, and we will be able to assist you with getting you on target with your finances. So that being said, share it. If you're watching by Facebook, like it. YouTube, share it, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell so you'll be reminded when I'm going to go live again and everything. And that being said, I will see you next time. Same channels, Facebook Live or YouTube, same time. Have a good one.